It's I don't know. It's strange the way social media has changed what we do in direct selling.
Oh my gosh, it's news. You know, we have a lot of basement bloggers, which it's a bad thing and sort of a good thing. You know, Warren Woodward always told me it's not the negative lies that hurt; it's the negative truth.
Sure.
And so a lot of these bloggers, sometimes they're right, and then sometimes they're just terribly wrong, and they can do a lot of damage. And so that's why I think it's really important for companies to participate in social media, to craft the narrative, to be part of the conversation. And another thing, this is sort of a hot topic for me, especially with some of my younger clients, because they get agitated or emotional. And when they see somebody disparaging the company, they want to send a cease and desist. Send them a cease and desist, right? Or if somebody's recruiting
I've
somebody.
received a few of those.
You've received several of those. And so my advice is, look, people are going to say negative things. You're dealing with potentially thousands of people,
Sure.
hopefully tens of thousands of people. You're going to have some negative comments out there, and just use good judgment as far as how far do you want to pursue these people. It's best to put positive out there because that outweighs the negative. Period.
Well, that, and I don't think that company owners ever need to go and debate on other people's blogs. It's like going into somebody else's house and trying to tell them what to do. They're going to have their friends, everybody's going to be there, and it just doesn't work. If you know, Starbucks is a prime example of somebody, when they started seeing negative comments and they realized, hey, this is misinformation, then they just went out and started their own blog, but then they created a team that would go and respond on those blogs and say, hey, we've covered that over here on our site if you want to come and get the truth. So they drove the traffic back to where they could control the story. And I think Herbalife is a prime example because they didn't sit back and say, oh, this too shall pass. You know, as soon as some negative stuff hit, they went on the train. And I mean, they engaged. They didn't even worry about their PR firm. They just started engaging and getting the facts out there. And I think in today's world, if we don't do that, it could be too little too late.
Well, somebody else can then craft the narrative about your company. So it's vital for companies to constantly be communicating, because the more you communicate, over time, trust accumulates.
Sure.
And I gave a talk on this. There's an economic value to trust, right? Stephen Covey's son wrote a book called Speed of Trust.
Yeah.
And it's true, there's a quantifiable value to trust. Well, how do you accrue trust? You communicate often, and number two, you're transparent. And this is another thing that I think is really important in today's marketplace, in this industry. Very important. You purposefully build a professional and ethical sales culture.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't just happen on accident. A lot of companies, they'll launch and they think, I've got a great pay plan, I've got a great product, it's just going to explode on its own. You actually have to, it takes leadership to create the culture that you want. And if you want an ethical culture, it starts at the top. And so I think the buzzword of 2013, it's compliance training. I think compliance training is important.
Sure.
It's boring, but if a lawyer does it right, it can be interesting and engaging, because the FTC, what's happening is they're searching the internet for statements from distributors.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And they're judging the company based on those statements. As a company, you can't say anymore, well, we can't control what they say. Now you're expected to try. You're expected to at least try to educate these people. And so that's really important for companies.